Well, I think the question of good or evil, I have to back up a little bit and kind of talk about how I saw that in the months after my coma, because it was very clear to me, even though I doubted how much this really related to deep truth of the universe, but for me the journey seemed to be very clear, um, in pointing out that this is not a battle between good and evil. In other words, I couldn't take this in this incredible spiritual journey that I describe in Proof of Heaven. Um, I couldn't take all that I was witnessing there and believe that there was good versus evil, and that someday the forces of evil might just overcome the forces of good, and that would be it. Darkness and evil forever. And it's mainly because I came to see that there really is light and love and those forces of God and love, and then there's the absence of them. The absence of them is not like an opposing force. What it really means is that unconditional love cannot be overcome. There's not a force of darkness or evil that ultimately will, hold sway and win over forces of unconditional love. And that was something that was very clear to me at many different levels on the journey. And in coming back and in learning more about NDEs and others' experiences, it became very clear to me. I believe that that is truly the case. So that's an important part of answering your question and getting at this good and evil, because from my point of view, unconditional love ultimately, obliterates that darkness and the lack of light by providing that light. And each and every one of us can serve as a point of light to bring that into this world. And that's what I see the evolution of all consciousness is really allowing that to flourish, that whole notion of kind of goodness and love as the force in the universe to fully manifest itself. And I would say the lessons where free will comes in handy is realizing that, yes, our souls can make certain agreements or contracts about the challenges and difficulties we're going to face in this life. So those will be milestones that we can measure the growth of our soul by how we progress through those challenges, through my diagnosis of meningitis, through the fact that I stopped drinking alcohol in 1991 because I thought, it just didn't fit well with where I was going with my life. And I didn't want to have that variable in there. But my point is that we get the hardships and difficulties that we essentially set up for ourselves to provide a pathway of growth. The free will is how we address those challenges. The free will is the choices we make. Are we able, through our free will, to recover a sense of love, of connection with the divinity of the universe, a sense that we belong and have purpose and that we have influence on all this? Can we connect all those dots in a way that we become effectual souls growing in this evolution of all consciousness? I believe we can. And I believe it's stepping up to that plate that we're really all here to do. And it's rising way above the petty little discussions of the ego and its false, sense of, either fear or anxiety being the main tools that you use to guide your choices in this world. Whereas that higher soul can look at you as making those choices from a much higher position of light and love, mercy, acceptance, and forgiveness for all fellow beings, and an acknowledgement of that oneness of that God force with our very sense of self-awareness.